everybody, it's Oksana, and today I'm going to show you how to make this pendant right here. I've sometimes seen this style referred to as Heady, but there's also the Heady type of style with the lots and lots of coils, the big thick coils. So this is not that, obviously. This is a little bit different, and it's a nice simple style because it doesn't use a lot of weaving or even just the wrapping. There's really minimal little portions that use a thinner wire to wrap around, and here's what the back of it looks like. So if you want to see how to make this pendant, then just keep watching. So I'm starting out with 2 pieces of 19 gauge square copper wire, and they're about 12 inches each. And then I have this little stone, it's just slightly over 1/2 inch. It's a little kyanite oval. And I'm going to take my 1/2 round wire, and roughly in the middle, I'm going to use this 22 gauge 1/2 round wire, the flat side down, and I am just going to wrap. And then I'm going to squish it flat. And just push that together. I'm going to cut the wire. And I'm going to leave these little tails. We may use them later. I like to just leave them at first. Now I'm starting to bend this. I want to bend this so that it will be the frame for my stone. But you want to leave the frame just slightly larger than your stone because we're going to fill it in. So it can be wider too. Mine isn't. Here, I'll pull it apart a little. There. So the stone kind of goes in and out, but not so huge that, you know, there's huge gaps on the sides. So here's what that looks like. I'm going to take one of these wires, this one on the right here, just the very front wire. I'm bending it so the stone itself is kind of sitting right in here. So keeping that in mind, I'm just bending this and I'm making a little loop. Sorry, I know it's kind of hard to see when I'm actually making a loop, but it's going to be just a little loop like this. I'm going to use my pliers to get it a little smaller. There we go. I'm just trying to get this wire here to line up back to this edge here. And you can kind of hold your stone and see what that did there. And then keep going with this. So now it's down here, and I'm going to use this little tail end, and I'm going to secure that by just wrapping it a few times. And then I'm just going to cut that little tail end so that it's short. Actually, I should probably cut it even shorter. Squish that down and then push it together like that. I need to cut this tail a little shorter because it's actually kind of sticking out the back here. Okay, there. Now it won't stick out the back. Continuing with this wire, making another tiny loop. And now using this little tail end, actually I'm not going to use it, I'm sorry. I'm just going to leave this and use it maybe later in the back. And I'm going to use my pliers to get this little loop a little lower down. And you can keep trying out your stone just to see how that's looking and how it's staying in the frame in terms of being secure in there. So now this wire is coming up here. What I'm going to actually do is I'm bending it and I'm putting it through this little loop that we made. Just like a little at a time, I'm gently pulling it through, using my pliers and using my hand. If you pull it really hard, it might just, really get shoved in there, and you don't want that. You want to keep the edge of this frame nice. Alright, so here it is. It got pulled through, and it's essentially kind of making another loop there. Okay, so here's what our stone would look like in that little frame. Now it's not going to pop out the front anymore because all of these loops and things are blocking. Now I'm going to line line up these wires that are up top here. I'm going to use this. So this wire is going to come all the way across here to the back. And then if you want, you can either just trim it back here or make some kind of swirly with it. I'm just trimming it and I'm kind of closing it up, closing out that little loop. So that's the back, this is the front. Here's what that looks like. And now I'm going to take the middlemost wire. I'm just going to twist. Because it's square wire, it'll do this little twisted effect. I'm sorry about there's construction going on outside, so if you hear like hammering, that is why. So I'm going to try and just kind of line them up so they're all nice and side by side. I'm going to take my half round wire again and just kind of wrap to keep them nice and together. And then I'm just going to trim that so that the ends are actually here in the front. So normally you'd put the little ends in the back, but the ends are going to be here in the front. The reason for that is that we're going to bend this forward like this, so then it'll cover up the ends. But if they were in the back, then you would have the little wire ends sticking up. Alright, so we are bending this. This is going to be our bail, but it's kind of like going forward instead of going to the back. So like this, and then bend the wires to the back, like that. Now I'm going to pop my stone in there, so I'm putting it in. And it's not going to pop out the front, because that front has those little loops. But here on the back, of course it will, so I just need to grab some of these wires here in the back and push the wire onto the stone like this. Just do that with one wire on each side, and that will trap your stone in there, like this. Now it's trapped, now we can't go at the front or the back. I'm just pressing these wires down so they're a little flat. Alright, so now, oops, this is getting a little discombobulated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little scrap piece I have here of my half round wire, and just to keep this nice and together here, our little bail, I'm going to use it and I'm going to wrap it around a few times, like 3 times, like that. Here in the front, and this time my little wire ends are going to be facing to the back. Okay, so get that nice and tight. The little wire ends are back here inside of the bail. So now bring these wires, since they're kind of here in the back, go ahead and bring them around. I'm going to try and squish that down a little bit. There we go. Perfect. So you don't want to squish up here because this is a bail, but then here you don't want like a huge giant space. Here's what that looks like so far. And now I'm going to take just these 2 wires, not the third one, but just these 2. I'm going to bend them this way. And then I'm going to press down with my thumb. And I'm going to bend them up. Like that. And now I'm going to get another piece of half round wire. I'm going to make another connection. Let's see, flat side down. Okay, here, connecting all 5 of these wires. So we have the 3 original wires and then the 2 wires that we just kind of bent upwards for a total of 5 wires. And again, just like 3 times is adequate. Now you want this to be underneath that original. So the original little wrap we just did is here, and this one is under it. I'm cutting my little ends in the back there. Now I'm gonna squish them down. Okay, that is connected. Now I'm just bending it this way, trimming these down so they're just short little ends, and tucking those into the bail and squishing them down. You can see from here the little ends, as long as they're not too long so they don't stick out. Shouldn't be able to feel them. If you can, you might have to trim them a little more. Now I'm going to take this last wire and I'm just going to twist it for effect. And I'm going to bend it so it's going towards the front. I'm going to try and have it go down the side here. I'm going to press it a little bit. Now here it's coming, I'm leaving it on the outer edge here. So hold on, let me pull out this little wire. Okay. So I'm having this go underneath the little wire. Okay. With that, now I'm taking the little end of this and I'm tucking it in, and I'm kind of curling it that way, kind of in and that way. And then check it out here, and I see that little end that I just pushed. I'm almost like just pressing it more to like, basically I formed like a little loop, and I'm kind of closing it. So this way the wire's stuck. It's just kind of going like around. And now this little wire here, I'm bringing it here to the back. I'm just gonna wrap it a few times just around this wire. So if you need to, just lift it up a little bit to form a gap so you can get in there. And then once you do, just wrap that just to connect it, and then we'll trim it off. Oops. And there we go. Now I'm just gonna trim it and then tuck away that little end. And if you need to, press this wire back down. So here's what that looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and oxidize it. I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's oxidized. And if you want to, you can kind of keep adding to it. This is a basic little pendant, but you can just be elaborate and keep adding more and more of these wires. And you know, I've seen these be really intricate, but here's what mine looks like. And here's the back. So here's what it looks like after I oxidized it. I oxidized my copper. You need raw copper to be able to do this with liver of sulfur. I do have a video on how I do it, and basically you just tarnish the copper, it turns black, and then you polish it up for this darker, more antique-y kind of look. Here is what it looks like from the front, and then here is the back. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.